Indian, I'm your TP. I'm the beach, you're the bikini. The remote control, you're the TV. DVD player, I'm the CD. I can see us closer than 3D. Girl, your love is sweeter than kiwi. I can be your Adam, you can be Eve. I'm gonna bite that apple, believe me. I've been searching hard for your love, like a miner digging for gold. And if haters were the ocean, we would stay afloat with the boats. And if you were 4 tires, I would let you ride on my road. If I were your stripper pole, would you work me until I'm rusty and old?
Oh yeah, right. You my ride or die. Like a diamond, we will shine. Right. Baby girl, it's you and I. Yeah. Baby, I won't leave your side. Right. You my ride or die. Yeah. Like a diamond, we will shine. Right. Baby girl, it's you and I. Yeah. Baby, I won't leave your side.
Angel face with angel eyes, you must be heaven sent. Our hearts had a collision and it minds you left a dent. This love is meant to happen, girl, it's not an accident. So if you give me your heart, I promise I will represent. You're my pieces, I'm your puzzle. You're my rain, I'm your puddles. You're my teddy bear like Snuggles. If it's team us, let's huddle. We can be strength in life struggles. You're my red nose with no muzzle. I can be the product, you can be the dollars. Girl, let's orchestrate this hustle.
Oh yeah, right. Girl, you my ride or die. Like a diamond, we will shine. Right. Baby girl, it's you and I. Yeah. Baby, I won't leave your side. Right. You my ride or die. Yeah. Like a diamond, we will shine. Right. Baby girl, it's you and I. Yeah. Baby, I won't leave your side.
I am directions, you would be the destination. If I were an employer, would you choose my occupation? I must be a shovel, cause I'm digging you penetration. Girl, your love's got a hold on me like procrastination. If I were your telescope, you'd be my shining star. Beautiful, it's a crime, I'm arresting you like the law. My love is your parking garage, girl, come and park your heart. If I'ma slide on the playground, would you slide down my sliding board?
Oh, yeah, girl, you my ride or die. Like a diamond, we will shine. Right. Baby girl, it's you and I. Yeah. Baby, I won't leave your side. Right. You my ride or die. Yeah. Like a diamond, we will shine. Right. Baby girl, it's you and I. Yeah. Baby, I won't leave your side. I won't leave your side.
Allen Bernard International, or ABR, is a management consulting firm with a team of consultants and associates who focus on growing and transforming home healthcare agencies, nonprofits, and small businesses in other industries as well as individuals. Our services include ABR Business Support Services, ABR Accounting and Tax Services, and ABR Anti-Money Laundering Compliance Services. At ABR, we bring to each assignment dedication and commitment, experience and skills, performance-based process, integrated solution teams, and client relations. For more inquiries on our services, call phone number 469-378-3955. That's Allen Bernard International, or ABR, transforming business through ideas.
Don't sleep, no.
When you talk durable, environmental friendly, and an all-weather surface smoothener, the only name that comes to mind is Zize Quality Paints. Zize Quality Paints come in all color and is produced in the USA. You don't have to worry anymore, because with Zize Quality Paints, you can change from oil to water-based paint with no damage to your wall or surface. And also, Zize Paint doesn't peel your wall. The good news is we can customize your paint based on your preference. Locate our offices in Police Academy Junction, RRA Highway, and our newly opened branch at LMC Junction, St. Paul Bridge, Bourgeois Island. For the first of its kind in Liberia, Zize Quality Group of Companies Incorporated introduces the Pinter Referral Cash Commission. Professional painters can earn referral cash commission ranging from $5 United States dollars to $375 United States dollars when your client buy minimum total sale value greater than or equal to $200 United States dollars per transaction. This offer runs from September 5th, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. Interested professional painters can contact any of our Zize Quality Paint store locations. This is our way of appreciating our valued professional painters for their support and continuous commitment to doing business with us. The qualification is just simple. You must be a professional painter. Referral cash commission is based on per transaction and not on accumulated purchases. For more information, call phone numbers 0777 366 142 or 0555 386 177. Zize Quality Paints. Give your property a shine. Made with ginger, coconut water, natural juice flavor, vitamins and minerals is Muncie Power Drink. Muncie Power Drink helps reduce high blood pressure, get rid of toxins, help improve children and adult memory. It also helps the body fight effects of excess sugar. Muncie Power Drink has no added sugar, no artificial flavors, and all natural ingredients. It is a healthy drink for just everybody. It has 4 natural juice flavors: pineapple, mango, strawberry, and turmeric. For wholesale or retail purchase, visit major supermarkets across Monrovia and its environs. If you are outside Monrovia, you can do your purchase at Kakata Supermarket and Ataro Business Center in Ganta. You can also visit our store on the Old Road, right next to the American School. For more information, call us on 0770 307 572 or 0776 580-730. Muncie Power Drink, not just your regular energy drink.
Do you need a car?
Ready for an upgrade?
Then come to Sika Motors, sole distributors of Toyota vehicles, Mitsubishi vehicles, and Yamaha motorbikes, genuine accessories and spare parts.
You name it, we have it. We have the 2022 brands of Toyota vehicles. Select from our new Toyota Starlight,
Toyota Belter, Toyota Rush.
We've got the best deal in town through our Sika Motors financing schemes with selected banks, EcoBank Liberia and UBA Liberia, starting at the lowest as 500 USD. You won't believe these prices. Come for quality, reliability, and durability. Take a spin and let's make a deal.
Sika Motors on the UN Drive at Sailtown, Bushra Island, or call Sika Motors on +231 775 987 758 or email cmarketing@cfao.com. Sika Motors, drive with confidence.
We all know the headache we go through sending money to our loved ones, friends, and family in Liberia. High fees, long lines in banks, the usual complaint of the system being down, such a waste of time and energy. That is why I was very happy when I learned that Sendwave is now in Liberia. So now I can send money anytime from anywhere directly from my smartphone to the MTN Lone Star Cell mobile money account of a loved one, friend, or family within seconds for just a tiny fee. So download Sendwave now to your phone from your Apple Store or Google Play Store. Add your details, and don't worry, they are very safe and secure. And start sending money today. Don't forget to insert the promo code COSTA to get free $5 credit added to your first transfer. Sendwave is secure, super fast, and by far the most affordable way to send money to Liberia. I'm Henry P. Costa and a very happy customer. Thank you.
Morning, folks, wherever you are. Welcome to the Costa Show. Today is another day. The 31st is the last day in this month. Good morning, Costa.
Morning to you, Mr. Boakai Amara Kamara. And you said how when we call you.
Yes, of course.
Mario. So yeah, it's good to be here. The very last day in the month of January, the 31st. I mean, boy, I know that January we're not gonna end.
I'm telling you, because up to now we stay in January.
My man, I go like bro. I spend more than 2 weeks, we stay in January. I come to America, I spend more than 2 weeks, we stay in January.
I'm telling you.
Wait, January and January hard.
January is so hard. So much.
Everybody broke by January get miserable broke. But hey, folks, we're glad to be here. But we have a lot of things to talk about this morning. The president's last final annual message yesterday. Okay. So this is essentially what we're going to be talking about, all the different things that were said. Yesterday, I picked up on some things that were really disturbing. For example, okay, we're talking about our debt stock, our total debt stock. The domestic debt is $800 and something million, a little over 800 million US dollars. The international, the foreign debt stock, our international debt is 1 point something billion. So let's just say 1.8 billion dollars total. Can you imagine? And the money we pay to service these debts, I believe he said either 77 million or 99 million. But Boga, let's take it from where you would like to. I guess you took a lot of points down. I made some mental notes. I took some mental notes in my head. But what are the key things that really struck you? Let's talk about the mood first. You know, the mobilization of people, transporting them to the Capitol to be clapping for him and stuff. Let's talk about that before we get into the nitty gritty of the boring pack of lies.
Okay, so yesterday, those that were in charge of finance, Finabono, Akaros Moses Gray, and other top officials of the CDC went in various communities, most especially the West Point, the Gibraltar, the Rock Spring Valley, and Perry Street, where Finabono lived. They started giving each person 20 USD to go at the Capitol building to cheer President Weah up. And all of those, they gave that 20 USD. The president's speech was still on Costa. They started leaving the place because the 20 USD was not sufficient. You giving somebody 20 USD and not feeding them, that's another thing. Because they were all hungry, thinking that, oh, we're going to carry this 20 USD home. Probably they're going to give up food to where they are taking us. But they went there, there was no food, so they couldn't stay. The president was speaking why they were leaving. That's one thing. And Akaros Gray, on the part of Akaros Gray, who was in charge of everything at the Capitol, started issuing passes to seditionists to go and cheer the president up. He allowed people, ordinary citizens, to go there, make it look like what all the president is. Yeah.
Inside the building?
Inside the building, Costa. Inside the building.
And they were not supposed to be there.
No. He gave them passes, Costa. He gave them passes and asked them to go there just to cheer the president up. Anything the president said, they should just clap. And later on, they themselves, they got tired clapping because the speech was too long and boring. They couldn't clap no more. So what all the returned to now, just be cheering because they couldn't clap. All their palms were all hard now, so they were just cheering, making a lot of noise in the building.
It was lousy. It was noisy. It was lousy. It was crazy. So they took people inside just to be clapping for the man. Now we saw them wearing all those t-shirts.
What I take from it was that Costa, what is it? The entire speech was made up of lies, excuses, a lot of promises, and then asked for more time. That's just it. He lied, made a lot of excuses, made a lot of promises, and asked us to give him more time. That's just it.
Wow. Brother Larry Kennedy will join us this morning to discuss the annual message, the last annual message yesterday. Why do you think they were more keen on having a cheering squad there yesterday? I mean, in previous times, of course, we know they have people in, but what do you think was their primary fixation, the primary objective of having these the cheering squad, the clapping, the cheering, all that kind of stuff? What do you think made it particularly interesting? I mean, particularly important to them that they had that kind of situation there yesterday. Why?
Make the opposition believe that the people still love President Weah. That's one thing. And as we approach the October election, now only if this event that just passed, Costa, every event that they will host, they will make it appear that the people still love this man. They will pay people to attend every event that the president will be on. So it's not something that we should just think that it's today or tomorrow. From now to the election, every event that the president go on, they will make sure the MTA buses bring people from wheresoever they can have people from. Use money to bring people out. Yeah.
I will say this to you. That particular annual message thing is a constitutionally mandated exercise that the president must do each year. It is not meant to be a political campaign or a political partisan event. So having the president's partisans in the room and clapping for him, it's just unacceptable. Larry, good morning.
Good morning, Pedro. Good morning, Mr. Boyka. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, bro.
It's ridiculous, Larry. Yesterday they turned the thing into a big. It was like they were playing a game, like a football game. The whole intent and purpose of the thing is to inform the people, to report to the people through their elected officials what you did during the year on a review, and to state your case or your agenda for the coming year. Basically, the things you look forward to doing, but mostly to report on the previous. But Larry, they turn the thing into a complete cheering thing. I mean, what do you make of that? Why the particular fixation on or obsession with having people clapping and cheering for him?
That's first of all, I really felt bad for the president. To be honest, I felt bad. I felt bad for him because the speech was really bad. The speech was bad, and they needed a cheering squad, like what Boyka was just saying. They needed a cheering squad because they knew they hadn't accomplished anything serious to improve the lives of the people. So, but they needed someone to be there to clap for them. So the speech was meant to confuse people, and it did a great job confusing everybody. Even the president, it confused the hell out of him. So that's the thing. It was really bad. And when we start going into it, you would get to see how they started lying. We would get into it, but I really felt bad for the president because he was saying things that he didn't understand, and the people who wrote the speech for him did a total disservice to him. They really, really did a disservice to him in front of the entire world. In front of the entire world,
let me hold you right there. You are the president of the republic. It takes weeks to prepare the speech. Every ministry or agency contributes their script to be embedded or merged with the speech, to make up the speech. Before you go up there to give the speech, wouldn't you spend some time, Larry, to read the speech and just see how long it is? Wouldn't you insist upon it being reasonably short? This speech, the man has a major reading impediment, and even comprehension problem. His enunciations are bad. It's just horrible. Why did he not pay attention to the length of the speech and all of that, Larry?
The man didn't rehearse the speech. He did not rehearse it. He did not rehearse the speech. That was the problem. He didn't. I don't think he read it because, like you're just saying, I would have called different ministers in and asked them. The first thing I'll be interested in, job creation. Bring the minister of labor, bring the finance ministry, bring the central bank, put them in a room and ask them, okay, people tell me, how many jobs did we create? He didn't do any of that stuff.
He didn't do any of that stuff. You know, Commerce Ministry, what's the story with rice? We have women crawling over the fence, climbing over the fence one time at the Freeport for rice. You know, and I heard what Blake said earlier. There was a woman I saw outside of one of the network when they tried to interview her. You know what she said? She said, "Oh, I don't want to talk right now. We got too hungry."
Apparently, I wanted people to talk there to clap for him. All right, Larry. Now we're gonna move. We're gonna move essentially the conversation today because it is his final speech. You know, we decided to just go into the speech and look at it from every angle. Now, Larry, I know you followed, you took notes, and the floor is open. What were the highlights, the most interesting points he made that didn't make sense or that do not reflect the reality on the ground? Let's begin with that. The unrealistic pronouncements or things he said.
Let's start. So he started off saying when he took over the government in 2018, the economy was in a state of major distress. Okay, that is not true entirely. Okay, let's say let's give it to him. Say the economy was in distress. But then why did you come in and made it worse? Because he was saying that he came in, everything was weak, international reserve was low, but they came and they depleted the international reserves even further. So if United Party left the international reserve at a net 110 million, so say, boycott, you are coming in, I left 110 million in the bank for you. You tell me, say, oh, Larry Kennedy only left 110 million in here. But then in the first year, you dropped 110 million to 80 million. Why didn't you grow the 110 million? You made it worse. And then in addition to that, go ahead, boycott.
Yeah, you graded me 90%. When people ask you, you say,
well, yeah, I did well. 80%.
80% rather. You graded me 80%. So everything is okay. It is passing mark.
So why did you make things worse when you met it? And you're saying we didn't have enough money. Why you start flying private jets at $4,550 per hour? We're broke. You said the country is broke. You start flying private jets. The president of Mexico, Pedro, you know this. The man flies commercial. The Mexican economy is bigger than the Liberian economy. The man flies commercial. You start flying private jet from a company, you're leasing it from Luxembourg at $4,550 an hour. And you said the economy was weak. Inflation when you came in was 7% in 2015. 2016, it went up to 8.8%. And in 2017, inflation went to 12%. 2018, by 2019, inflation had hit 20-something percent.
On your watch.
On your watch. You made it worse. You're saying, I mean, talk about hope for change or change for hope. It goes to show that the people, they didn't have any hope at all. Or you didn't come in to change anything. So that was the first thing that caught my attention. They said the country didn't have any money, but they made the reserves even less. So they lied to the president in the first statement that he made. That was a big lie.
Larry, one of the things he mentioned, talking about our reserves at the central bank, they borrowed so much. One of the successes he named was that the government has finally stopped borrowing from the central bank. Larry, how is that an accomplishment? You were not supposed to even be borrowing from the central bank in the first place. The IMF told you to stop. So let's talk about that. Depleting our reserves by borrowing from the central bank.
My man,
just how bad is it?
That was another big lie when he said he made an economic speech in 2019 to stop borrowing from the central bank. It was partly true. They stopped borrowing. Not because he said it, because the IMF told them to stop doing the whole deficit financing with the central bank. He should have told the people, oh, when we came in, that whole business of us borrowing from the central bank in 2018, IMF stopped it. Why? Because they wanted to borrow money from the IMF. They wanted to enter the extended credit facility. And the IMF said, in order to do that, you have to stop borrowing from the central bank. Then the IMF kicked them in the behind when the IMF told us, now you got to do harmonization. That was when they started laying people off and started doing all that nonsense. Because when they first came in, people were just walking over, I don't know, to Molu or one of them, were just sending people to different ministries and getting jobs, right? You remember that?
The long list. He would just write these lists and send them to different government officials.
Yeah. Then now the IMF saying, okay, And at the same problem right now, Ghana trying to get money from the IMF because the IMF has set restrictions if you wanted to get into the ECF program. So the IMF told them, okay, stop doing deficit financing. Stop the CBL from financing your deficit. Go and borrow money legitimately and cut down your expenses. So that was the whole thing. And he should have just said, he ain't made no economic speech to stop that. The IMF told him, look, you want our money? You need to stop this thing right here. So they lied to the president again by putting that in the speech, and he didn't understand that he was entering a credit program where he had to do this thing. He was forced to do it.
It was a precondition. It was a precondition. I remember that speech, Larry. That speech was made on the 10th of June, 2019, a few days after the June 7th protest. That was the first speech he made after the protest, in which he acknowledged the protest and said the petitioner are going to look into it, blah, blah. That's when the IMF made him to say that. Yeah, I recall very, very well. Larry, let's talk about our domestic debt portfolio. Our entire national debt stock is at a whopping $1.8 billion, $800 million domestic and $1 billion international. And look at the fees, the principal and fees. I think he said it was $77 million is what we spent last year just servicing these debts. Larry, let's talk about that. I mean, for a small economy such as ours, a small revenue envelope such as ours, just that kind of money we're spending on servicing these debts. How much are we going to have left to finance development?
Oh, and let's look at the numbers. Oh, this is so important. So let's talk about this expenditure on the debt. He said in his speech, and you see, folks, don't say Larry, Pedro, or Mr. Boyka said it. Please go read the speeches in there. They're saying they spent $774 million. Just what Pedro was just saying, how much was left for development? They spent $286 million on salaries, $258 million on goods. That's the whole jolly thing. They'll be flying all over buying stuff for themselves. They spent an additional $89 million on debt servicing. $89 million. When all of that is done, they only had it was less than 18%. So they spent 82% on a whole lot of recurring expenditures, including the president flying to go to Qatar to go watch World Cup game, the president flying to Paris to do a Zoom call, the president flying. I mean, it's all in nonsense. So they only had 18% left, Pedro, for development. They could not service the debt. The debt is so important because, my people, when a man cannot service the debt, they got to raise taxes on people. They got to get the money from somewhere. The money cannot be cut out of thin air. They got to get the money from somewhere to service the debt. So when COVID hit, they couldn't service the debt. They begged the IMF to put them in some program where they won't have to pay any money on the debt. But it came out of COVID, they had to start paying the debt. $90 million, $90 million is spending for debt servicing. That is a major problem right there, because this is going to go on for a long time, bro. So the debt to GDP ratio is I won't say it's at a high level of risk. It's at a moderate, which means at some point, Liberia may not be able to afford to pay its debt. And when they miss that debt payment, they're not going to get money from the IMF. You can't borrow money from the international community. You can't get money from the IMF. You're in deep trouble.
Our real GDP is what? 2.6 billion, and our debt stock is 1.8 billion. Larry, our GDP to debt, our debt to GDP ratio is almost what, 80-90%?
It's very high. And that means at some point we'll not be able to borrow money. Pedro, we don't have credit rating. Nope. Where are we going to borrow money from? Nobody buying central bank stocks or central bank bills. Where are we going to borrow money from? When it came in 2018, who they trying to borrow money from? Eton.
It didn't work because they can't borrow from credible people.
They go borrow money from people that do not exist. 500 and something million to try to borrow. This speech was painful. This speech was a result why people didn't elect this man the first time in 2005. Didn't elect him the second time in 2011-12. They said, okay, let's give the man a try. Let's see what will happen. They did it. This is the result. It's a painful lesson, my man. Jolobo, and what was the other one? Jolobo and Poison?
Jolobo and Poison, my brother.
Poison, yeah.
But you can come in at any time, absolutely anytime. Larry, let's talk about him talking about and nobody should earn below $150 as minimum wage. He's never made that point before. In fact, their so-called harmonization caused a lot of people to be earning below. Buck and I have discussed here. There are people at the Ministry of Information who are making what, $90 a month, and now he is appearing to be an advocate for civil servants. It's unacceptable that people should make below 150. First of all, who determined the minimum wage? I can't remember when the minimum wage was even determined to be $150. Let's talk about that. When did he become an advocate for civil servants making a measly, salary under 150? I mean, that surprised me yesterday. We had the advocate.
He became an advocate when he realized it was election year. Election year, people become advocates for a whole lot of stuff.
That is very, very true. Now, so he's giving this long, boring speech, most of the people don't believe because it's lies. Now, how do you think they expect that this speech would translate into anything that would improve the odds in their favor?
Man, the person who wrote this speech did a huge disservice to the president, because I don't know, people have to look. I see people that are asking if what I'm saying is true. Don't listen to me. Go look at this speech. I can tell you the page number. You can go and look at it, and then you can go to the central bank and you can see the reality from the central bank, or go to the IMF website and see the reality. He said they took in about what, $740 million in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get it straight. Liberia depends on grant and borrowing. The actual revenue is a whole lot less than that. The actual revenue was about 600 and I think he said 605 million. So listen up. He said it took him 740 million. The actual revenue was about 605 million they collected in taxes.
Mm-hmm.
That means they have to close the gap to get to the 740. How did they close the gap? He said it did some borrowing by selling CBL bills, which was 34 million. That still leaves, but let me reset it. From 604 to 740, that means you were short about $169 million. So the true budget deficit was $169 million. Remember they used to be calling Amara Conan Mr. Budget Shortfall?
Mm-hmm.
169 is the largest budget shortfall in the history in Liberia. 169 million budget shortfall. You're depending on grant to close the budget gap. $169 million budget shortfall. That is the thing I took away from this speech.
That is huge.
So tell me, Pedro, Boyka, where are you going to get $169 million from to close that budget shortfall?
The borrow.
They got to borrow or raise taxes.
Yeah.
Borrow or raise taxes. So watch how maybe the fuel, I don't know, they can put a couple of pennies or so on fuel again, but they have to raise the money somehow. Now you see why the man is moving money from different accounts.
Yeah, he talked about borrowing from local banks. The local banks in the country, their balance sheets are already small. Liquidity is a problem. The local banks should be borrowing to the private sector to help the private sector grow. Why is the government borrowing from local banks? Is it not killing these banks and essentially killing or stifling access to capital, which is already a major problem in a country? The government shouldn't be competing with private business people, private sector actors for limited capital in the local banks. The government should not be competing. So how does this affect the growth and development in the private sector, Larry?
That's why there's no lot of capital in the market. And you're right, Pedro. If let's say you the government and Pedro is the citizen, if you come, I only have about, let's say, $10 million in the bank. If you come and you borrow $9.5 million, that leaves only $500,000 for the public to come and borrow. The bank doesn't have an excess amount of, unlimited amount of money. There's a limited amount. And you're right. The government is competing with the private sector to borrow money, and the government using the money for recurring expenditures. The private sector won't use it to start business. The market women that want to take money, go to Guinea, get some goods, bring it back to do businesses. They can't do it because the government already borrowed the money. Then you had the whole issue of people not paying back money to the LBTI.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because some of the banks, the number of non-performing loans is so high. That's the reason. You know, their speech, they messed the man up in their speech, man, big time.
But Larry, he doesn't know that. I mean, because he doesn't know anything. I mean, the things he was reading, he doesn't even quite understand those things. I mean, so he was just trying to get done and go drink his Hennessy XO. That's it. That's it. He thought he did a fantastic job.
And Costa, because he also lectured us about our relationship with America. Is it that we Liberians don't know our number one ally? Telling other political leaders that before you become head of state, you have to know that America is our number one ally. What I don't know if you are trying to mesmerize the Americans on giving him more money or playing, some roles in his upcoming 2023 elections, because all of the things that he was saying are things that we know as Liberians. You shouldn't be telling us that America is our number one ally if you are now a friend to America. We Liberians can be friend to you, meaning he's talking to other countries now. So I don't know what he was driving at.
Listen, so what was he trying to say? Was he trying to placate the Americans, that hey, America is so important to us that if you as a country you're not friends with America, we can be friends with you? That's absolute nonsense. We're friends with China, and China and America, they are engaged in a huge trade war, and they're engaged in an economic war, but yet they're still diplomatic. They still have diplomatic relations. So you can be friends with China, you can be friends with other countries that America isn't necessarily buddies with. But what was the point of him saying that, Larry? I mean, that is every Liberian knows how close we are all supposed to be with the U.S. What was his point?
The man was trying to suck up to the Americans after his people then just got sanctioned. He was trying to suck up to the Americans, and we all know that the relationship between America and Liberia being there forever. The man was trying to suck up to the Americans. The people then just got sanctioned. The American was sitting right in there. Ambassador McCarthy told Liberians, "Carpe diem. Seize the moment.
Seize the moment.
Seize the moment. We are sanctioning these people then because the corruption is excessive in this country." So Ambassador Boycott said he's going to introduce the arrest. I know he said he wasn't arresting anybody, but the arrest program, he should put a C in front of a crest to clean up the place. And the first one would be to deal with corruption. The C would be to address corruption in that country. Because these guys then have proven there's a new level of corruption in the country. That's why they had many people sanctioned. He was kissing up to the Americans, and the Americans wasn't buying it because they want him out of there. You know,
Larry, he talked about empowering and giving them prosecutorial powers and increasing their budget and all of that to make a point that he was trying to make his case that his government has a no-nonsense attitude when it comes to corruption. I mean, Larry, this guy is brave to be. I mean, look, I call this bravery. This guy is brave to be telling us that his government is committed to fighting corruption. What does we take us for, Larry?
Man, this is like when you believe your people do not read. Let's say sometimes, I know it's a harsh statement, but it's if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. The man was saying things that if you just read any of the statement from the Americans, you will see that what he's saying wasn't true, because the State Department report on human rights is coming out soon. In all the previous State Department reports, what have they been saying about Liberia and corruption? They've been saying a whole lot. The prosecutorial powers that he giving is just for show. They talk about it. Pedro, Boycott, please remind me, when was the last time the Ministry of Justice prosecuted anybody in our country for serious corruption?
No one.
So Joe Biden said, don't tell me what it is you're going to do. Show me your budget and show me what you're going to do. Don't tell me, because I will see it when you do it. You ain't prosecute anybody for corruption by standing out in front of the Americans and saying, oh, we're giving people. That means it is true. It is not true, my man. No way, no how. This was an eye-opener for the people. Election year, when presidents come out and give the State of the Nation address, the annual message, they had to go back and reflect on what they had done. The man started out with 2018. 2018, he started with 2018 saying things were bad 2018. But Madison Leaf left the man with even the FIFA ranking. Madison Leaf left Liberia in a higher position of FIFA ranking. 134. The man came in. Where the FIFA ranking right now? 150. We are 16 countries further below in FIFA
so we
ranking.
dropped 16 places in the
Since
FIFA
Madison
ranking.
Leaf left.
Oh no, a football president.
The football
Yeah.
president.
Oh no, a football president.
Larry shared that information with me the last time, and I was just stunned. I forgot to mention it, but thanks that you brought it up. Liberia used to be 134 in FIFA ranking. We're now 150 something. We dropped 16 places. Yeah. Honor George, we are.
Yeah, and Costa, our female team, not able to make it for the Waffle tournament this year because of finance. That's another thing. Only a footballing president. So when all of these things are happening under your watch as a sportsman, I don't know where you are taking our country, because the issue about sports should be high on your agenda, because that's the background you came from. So now, if that sector of the of our country is lacking, then what next can you put forth to the Liberian? Nothing.
The very stadium where the man attained national and global recognition was disqualified by FIFA as not being fit to host FIFA games. Then you're talking about dropping your ranking. You know, now it makes sense why our ranking dropped. But guys, let's move on to other parts of this speech. He talked about remittances increasing. Larry, what do you think is responsible for remittances? Hundreds of millions of dollars. I think it's a $400-something million it increased to from Liberians in the diaspora, in the U.S. particularly, and in Europe and other parts of the world. What does that indicate, Larry, when remittances increase?
So the good thing is Liberia depends heavily on remittances. You know, even though when people get the money, remittances is from receiving the money to eating it straight away, you know, but they don't invest it or do anything else. But here's the problem with that statement in the speech. You talk about the inflows of remittances. What about the outflows? Because if the net between your inflows and outflows, if that net only comes out to, let's say, maybe about $10 million, you haven't gained anything in remittances. I remember this because long time ago, I saw a post. This must have been several years ago from Dylan. Dylan put a post out there one time and saying, look at the outflows of remittances. He showed a good side, remittances coming in, but he didn't show the side where the remittances are going out, because when you show remittances going out, that means the net between the inflows and outflows can be very small. And that means you have an economy where people are sending money out more. You have foreigners in your country right now who are sending more money out to their families.
That's the flight.
Exactly, the flight of capital. So again, the person wrote the speech, were trying to be deceptive because they figured that people don't pay attention. So he talked about the inflows of remittances, but he didn't talk about the outflows of remittances. The capital flight.
There's more money leaving Liberia than money that goes in.
For a small country, it
for a
shouldn't
small
happen.
country such as ours, because there are no mechanisms in place to discourage capital flight. In Ghana and other places, they don't let you just send your money out. You have to pay hefty fees to wire your own money out. But Liberia does not. So a lot of money leaves the country.
Because they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. They're hurting the people. The money coming in, turning around, and leaves right back out through the country. You know, there's more money in the country.
When remittances spike, when they increase, doesn't it also indicate that hardship has increased in the country? So people are begging their relatives and friends more?
Yeah. That's a sign that people have
one way to look at
it. You look at it because now people have lost their jobs. The economy is difficult for people. Prices of food have gone up because of inflation. Price of gasoline has gone up because of inflation. So what does that tell you now? More people are depending on their families in America, Europe, and other places to support.
And so this has nothing to do. if it has anything to do with the government, thanks to them for making conditions so bad that people have to look to their friends and family and loved ones abroad to help them, to keep them going back home.
Exactly. Because the remittances doesn't go to investments, it goes straight to people trying to buy rice and buy food to eat.
That's it. For people, for consumables, to pay rent, to pay tuition, to go to the hospital, to people get said, my man, via Australia, please Sendwave me some $20. And then also they should be recognized in Sendwave. Sendwave has helped to make remittances go up because Sendwave has made it easier for people to remit funds to Liberia as opposed to going to Western Union or MoneyGram.
It's affordable using Sendwave. My family just got together because one of my uncle, we are in New Britain, just passed away. The family just got together and they just sent money using Sendwave, Sendwave make it easy and affordable.
Our condolences to you and your family, Larry, for losing uncle. But let's talk about other parts of the speech, Larry. What other parts of the speech really caught your eye that you like us to talk about? And Bwaka, the same question to you as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Bwaka. Let me give Bwaka a chance there.
Yeah. Costa Maun is the lies, and lies. All of the promises he made previously about the Bali Island, the hair factory, the cake plane, the 6,000 teachers, there was nothing said about any of those things. No mention. And now he's coming asking us Liberians to give him another chance to do what? You became president 2017, 2018, you are in office. You said that one of your major projects would have been the Bali Island. And that project up to now, there haven't been a stone laying at that island. They played right across the bridge here. So all of these things, Costa, you keep promising, lying, and now fulfilling and asking for more time. Do you think Nigerians can give you some time again?
Baga, do you know why that Bali Island was never done or has not been done and will never be done by him at least? Let me tell you why. So the Indian government offered to do something for us, Larry, to build us a conference center. I think they offered to provide some 45 or $50 million. And the conference center was to be named in honor of Gandhi. It was supposed to be called the Mahatma Gandhi Conference Center. When the Indian government made that offer, we had then told the Indian government that he wanted the conference center built on Bali Island. There has been absolutely no environmental assessment done on Bali Island. Nobody knows how much it's going to cost to build a bridge to go to Bali Island. Nobody knows how much it's going to cost to do the land filling. Nobody knows any of those things. Mr. We had just told the Indian government, I want it built here. Not on dry land, in a swamp, with no bridge to go there. That is why the conference center has not been built, Larry. Can you imagine that? Because the man is crazy. He doesn't know that to do such a project, you have to do a whole lot of things. That's why the thing was never built. Yeah.
Isn't that
have you done your environmental assessment? No.
Yeah. But isn't that sort of an example of everything else they've been doing? The cake plane, they talk about all these little things then that never seem to happen. One other thing that caught my attention is the president pronounces the word fundamentalism, and people stand up clapping. Oh, they give him a standing ovation for pronouncing the word.
Macroeconomic fundamentalism. Hey, they're not small clap, they clap for the man.
Oh, they get up. Oh, the president can pronounce words. Jesus Christ.
That tells you the quality of the audience in the hall.
It also tells you how they have lowered the expectation
of the president. Yes, Larry.
Yeah.
And it is an insult to him, though. It is an insult to him that a man who is supposed to have a master's degree pronounces a word, a phrase, macroeconomic fundamentalism. Yeah, Papa. You know.
Yeah, that's what Papa, you strong. You can pronounce words. You can pronounce words with at least 5 syllables in it.
What? Wow. I can teach my son Henry to pronounce that word, fundamentalist. I just need to bring that
Listen, they started clapping. I said, wait a second. I started looking around. I said, did I miss something? I had to go back later on to watch the tape. What did he say? I said, maybe I missed something. Only because he said macroeconomic fundamentalism, they stood up and started clapping. Oh, Michael, you strong. Oh, not good, man.
Larry, what a joke. Listen, Larry. I mean, when these other people sit and look at us, right? Another thing I witnessed yesterday, several of his CDC lawmakers and officials of government were attired in the lapa, the solely lapa thing. All the lapa thing and the suit or whatever, wearing with picture all on it. I mean, these are lawmakers and government officials dressed up in the lapa. Our man wearing the Abu Kamara, one thing you were wearing, look like the button will jump off at any point. The button will jump off. I mean, whoever was standing in front of Abu Kamara, they had to be careful because the those buttons on the man B could jump off anytime. Yeah. The buttons were under tension.
The button was acting like you South Beach, you're trying to run escape.
Exactly. Abu Kamara looking like bigger.
But they had to justify. How much did they spend for the annual message? They had to justify something.
Yeah, what they said, $250,000.
Yeah. So they had to justify it. They had to buy lapa and some other t-shirts and pay people. So they had to justify it. That's what the 250. You see how the people are wasting the people money, the people that ain't got food, people that are hungry. When the people that get sick, they ain't got money to buy medicine, but the president and the government official can fly to Morocco, they can fly overseas for treatment while the poor people stay in there. And they spend $250,000, $250,000 for annual message to go buy lapa. Jesus.
All the lapa, instead all the way they sing on a lapa thing, they show it different style.
Yeah.
They bought it, Larry, that's the money they used to buy all the paraphernalia, all the things. Can you imagine?
You saw Thomas Falana in the entire rapper, everything on him because Costa, he's the one that bringing in all of these things. The t-shirts,
yeah,
everything. He can go China and bring them. So the men were extra, and then followed by Abu Kiri.
Abu, our long, it was hanging straight to a knee.
Let me tell you one more thing that grabbed my attention. The president said if COVID did not happen, Liberia would have been on a faster growth trajectory if COVID did not happen. Let me get this straight. COVID happened in March of 2020. Why Liberia didn't get on a fast trajectory in 2018, in 2019? They only waited because COVID happened and then they said, oh my goodness, No, in 2018, when the other countries then that had Ebola came out of Ebola, Sierra Leone, the economy started growing. They started creating jobs. Guinea, the economy started growing at about 5 to 6% per year. Liberia, Ellen left the economy growing at 2.5%. And when I say percent, sometimes it's about $100 million, $200 million or so. Ellen left it at 2.5%. When they came in, it dropped to around I think it was like maybe 1.2%. Then after that, it started going negative. It went negative. For 36 consecutive months.
We never saw growth.
We never saw growth. That is a depression, folks. That is a depression. The Liberian economy hit depression state.
Then Larry, our GNI, you remember you sent me that thing? Our gross national income. This is how much money the country earns within the year. Our GNI also reduced by some 5%.
It's start telling you that now the people in the country are catching hell because let's say the GNI was around, let's say around Ellington, let's say it was around maybe $600-700 or so. Because the economy is not growing, it started falling. And what does the growth in the economy means? It means that, okay, businesses now are doing more. They can hire more people. You know, those people then now will be able to use that money, go to the market, buy food. The market would mean that we have more money now, go to the farm and buy more stuff. The economy, the country grow as a whole.
Earning and spending money.
Exactly. It's this whole thing in economics, the whole Keynesian model, right? But when your economy is not growing, nobody is spending money. And then it happens for 36 months. Then you say, oh, we would have been growing faster if COVID didn't happen. I mean, you ain't growing 2018. You ain't growing 2019. Why the hell you blaming COVID for poor COVID? They were blaming COVID for a whole lot of stuff. They started blaming COVID when COVID happened in 2020. And they started blaming it for something that happened in 2018.
Our economy at all.
No.
COVID didn't do that. Africa was virtually spared by COVID, except South Africa and a few other places. But for the most part, Africa was spared.
Yeah, Africa wasn't hit that hard. The COVID even helped them because the COVID allowed them not to service the debt. They got into a debt suspension program.
Yeah, the IMF, the World Bank, they all did that. Yeah, they suspended debt payments.
Exactly. Yeah. And in addition to that, COVID also helped them to tap into the special drawing rights.
The SDR.
The SDR, because of COVID, the IMF increased the allotment of SDR. Liberia was able to tap into the SDR because of COVID. So COVID helped them. I mean, unfortunate that people had to die because of some disease, but they shouldn't blame their poor performance in the country on poor COVID.
They even got 35 million from the IMF to do the so-called household food intervention thing, which is stole, Larry, $35 million.
That is why Chris Smith, the representative from New Jersey, said this is a kleptocratic regime. They came in to steal, and they did an excellent job.
Mr. Weah has been stealing from the day he came in. And they said, Chris Smith, a crazy man. Then sanctions came. Larry, let's talk about, he didn't mention the sanctions, though. His key officials were sanctioned. His chief of staff, key officials in the government, he didn't mention that part. I mean, those are things he should have report on. If you can tell us about remittances, which you didn't influence in a positive way, why not tell us about your key officials that were sanctioned by the United States, by the U.S.? Why do you think they didn't put that part there, Larry?
The man noticeably avoided talking about the sanction. And noticeably, it was so noticeable, he completely avoided it as if it never happened. But please, my man, we all remember, in the sanction report, they said your Minister of State. And this was after the Minister of State just said, oh, my people, when I steal money, yeah, I'll bring it over here and spend it and build houses and stuff. He made that statement. The people said, oh, yeah, we're coming for you.
We're coming for you.
The man didn't talk about the sanctions. And here's the thing, Pedro, I've been following you since several weeks now between PYG and this government. When they sanctioned PYG, the Americans said PYG was working with the government to do money laundering. The government,
big crime,
that's money laundering with American dollars using, but that's also what they did with the mop-up exercise. When they put all that excess liquidity, the Liberian dollars in,
the remnant of the 16 billion they had when they came in, or what they used that map out thing to buy their own money, to change their own
buy their own money. And I saw you talk about it in a recent interview with some international news organization. You talked about that, the 16 billion in the map up. It was money laundering, plain and simple, laundering money from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So, I mean, I asked Boycott, so what were your thoughts around it? They're not mentioning the sanction too?
The measures can go there, Larry. The issue is that Americans have already said anybody doing business with sanctioned officials, or probably he don't want to get himself involved or entangled with the Americans. And the ambassador was there. So even though the Americans have sanctioned his official, but he as a government or president haven't mustered the courage yet to take them to court. He haven't. So that is hanging. So he coming up to talk about it in front of the Americans. The Americans will know that he's not serious about anything that he's saying.
Nah, the man. Another thing real quick, Pedro. So here is a situation where the man was spending $480,000 to ballot partners, a lobbying firm in Washington, D.C. The man spent $480,000 in August of last year to ballot partners with a chance that he would come and meet President Biden. Fantastic. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Now that Larry has mentioned that, so Larry sent me this like a whole spreadsheet, all the attempts and the dates that were made to try to secure a meeting failed. Like they just check the boxes. Every time my girl tried to secure a meeting for Weah, failed. Larry, I mean, what's with that? Like to even get a meeting with Kamala Harris failed. Like every time. $500,000 going in the wind. No results.
Zero results. I mean, it's unbelievable. They were spending all this money to come and meet Biden. Congratulations, you got to meet Biden. But for the something other African presidents got to meet Biden and they pay zero. They pay nothing. So they all met him at the same summit that you appear in. You pay over $500,000. They pay nothing. Zero they pay. Talk about the wasteful
And
spending.
remember, Larry, meeting Biden was for something. Biden called the head of states that are having elections in their country this year.
Elections in his year. You're
This
right.
year. That was the only reason he met with Biden, or else there could be no way.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And remember that Biden said it's on the White House website. Larry didn't say it. Pedro didn't say it. It's on the White House website. I'll go read it. Biden said corruption is a threat to U.S. national security. So all the corruption going on in this country right now, they are threatening U.S. national security. The whole passport scandal, all these, and you see why the Americans are sanctioning not just these guys, but their families as well. They're sanctioning their family also. They're trying to send a message.
That's something that was shocking. I mean, the family, their children and their spouses. I mean, when you sent me that stuff, Larry, I was like, what? I only thought they only went after the husband. I mean, the man, but not the wife and the children.
They're sanctioning the wives and the children as well. So their speech was, I mean, I saw someone wrote a post saying they couldn't watch the speech because it sounded like a kindergartner trying to read. It was painful. The man struggled, and then they wrote the speech for him to read it for 3 hours. It was 3 hours of torture for the man. And it had no substance, no meat, no vision, nothing to tell the people, oh, please re-elect me. It was more like a farewell address.
That's what it was. But Larry, what was the point of regurgitating, bringing back into the speech things that were said since as far back as 2018? I mean, he said, to make the speech long, since they didn't have real substantive issues to report on for the year under review, they went as far back as 2018 and brought back things that had already been said. It's like they just put all the previous 4 speeches down and picked among them and just created the last speech. Why do you think they did that?
They were trying to confuse the people, Pedro, and it did an excellent job confusing everybody, including the president. They confused everybody. They had nothing of substance. They had to go all the way back to 2018 because they had nothing of substance. They were trying to use the speech to pass the blame of the failures of this government to the previous government. But the previous government left your FIFA ranking high. They left your reserves high. The economy has started to grow after Ebola. But you came in with hope for change for hope, and everything started going down. So now they needed to blame somebody. So who did they blame? They started trying to blame the previous administration, but it did not succeed. The people saw right through it. Right through it.
And he also celebrated the issue about.
Go ahead, Baga. Go ahead.
Yeah, he also celebrated the issue about us passing 12 indicators from the 20, the Millennium Challenge Corporation, but without benefiting. We passed, yes, of course, we know we passed, but there was no benefit of us getting something from the MCC, and he's celebrating that. Yeah, he's celebrating that in his speech.
Like he said, I want to report to you that I went to school this year. I passed, but I did not get my report card.
Report card. Yeah.
We didn't get money. I think we were the only country that passed on our scorecard. Our first pass in 5 years after 5 attempts. But then we didn't get money. We were snubbed, which Baga said some weeks ago is equivalent to an economic, or financial sanction or rejection of sorts. I mean, why mention that, Larry?
I don't know. The speech writer, like I said, it did him a serious injustice because you did not pass the MCC compact. But even before they didn't pass the MCC compact, in terms of receiving money now, when they did pass the compact, they started celebrating. And you saw, I don't know, you saw a video.
Oh, they had a big program.
Yes.
People were celebrating.
Well, you had a program. I said it all along.
The people started partying. They started partying, and they even said get the money. But How do you expect to get money when you're saying high power delegation to the US to come and petition for you to win the MCC compact? You go and you start paying money. You go and you say, oh, Lindsey Graham, Lindsey Graham will write a letter for you to win the MCC compact. You remember that?
I remember when Bakari sellers arranged a meeting with Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz, and they said Lindsey Graham was going to write a letter asking the MCC to get him $500 million. I mean, such a ridiculous nonsense. Writes a letter for you to get MCC.
Nobody writes for you. They look at your corruption. They look to see how well you've done with corruption. You haven't done very well. And again, Pedro, you said this. I remember you brought it back to the limelight. This is the president who the people that say he had over $80 million, but yet he was receiving $50,000 and he was part of the whole FIFA scandal. It goes way back. Corruption was a major thing with the MCC compact. You're not getting the MCC compact money because you don't deserve it. Exactly. In a year where your ministers didn't get sanctions, you're not going to get MCC compact. You know? So I don't even know why he mentioned it, because it was shameful. It was embarrassing. You didn't get the money. You know?
It is as simple as that. In a few minutes, we're going to go to the phone lines so that we can get some of our people to chime in. We're discussing here the president's annual message. Yesterday, it was boring. It was long. It was excruciatingly long. The man already has a challenge. A challenge would be an understatement. He has an inherent and chronic impediment with speaking, with pronunciation, enunciation, and then you give him a 3-hour-long speech to read, and you make him stand up for that long. You know, I mean, Larry, just standing up for that long. You know, George Weah is no longer the George Weah he used to be when he was much younger. He's no longer as fit, and so it's just going to affect his delivery, and that's what it was. There were moments where Larry, he would just break in and tell the person, "Oh, I mean, I'm going too long. Don't worry, I was finished." He was breaking away from the speech, from the delivery, and keeping the conversation or making jokes. I don't know who does that. Yeah. Have you ever seen somebody making a speech and he would take a break? Oh, I mean, Larry, don't worry, I was finished. I got 10 more pages. Who does that?
It tells you how bad, because if you have something to tell the people, you will not stop making little side jokes. You will get straight to the point. You will hit the people with the point, and the people will cheer for you. People
I know I want to go. Then another thing he would do, he would miss. For example, he wanted to say there's been something that has happened for 6 years, but then he made me say 12 years. Then he went back and reread it. He was rereading things. He would go back and reread. I'm like, this.
But he kept saying my government. Then he would come back and say, oh, our government. He kept saying my government because it's all about the man. My government, my government. He went back and had to reread it. Oh, our government. Like what he named my man Bill Costin over here. He's saying that if they had a lie meter, it would have been all the way over in red because the man was lying so much.
The man would have broken the meter yesterday. It was a complete mess. But
it was painful.
We will go to the lines. We'll take some calls. Larry, let me tell you something. You know, I learned that the hospital that the government of UAE built in Bapulu, I'm pretty sure you've seen those pictures. The hospital was dedicated a few weeks ago. Do you know they say the government, the officials of the UAE that went to Liberia for the opening of the hospital, they had to be flown. They had to be helicopter. They had to fly them with helicopter to go to the hospital because the road is so bad. So and Larry, the hospital is so nice. But what's the cost of the hospital again? I mean, I've seen the pictures.
Costa, but I watched the video. The ambassador from UAE been flown in a helicopter. It landed on a local football field there in Bapulu. Then when they received him, the foreign minister went and received him and took him to the hospital for the program. And later on, he flew from there back to Monrovia. Because
the road was too bad. Yeah. But Larry, let me ask you a question. why build such a hospital in such a place where there's no road? Who does that?
You build a hospital where there's no roads, but in addition to that, what is the ratio of doctors to the people, the population? Some people are saying it's 5,000 to 1. Some people are saying it's as high as 15,000 people to 1 doctor. You have a hospital, but you don't have enough medically trained doctors in there. What good is the hospital then? You don't have passable roads to get to the hospital, number one. You don't have doctors to treat the people when they get there. It shows you have your priorities upside down. Do you need more hospitals, or do you need more
better trained people and
better
more
trained doctors,
Yes.
physicians, better roads? So the mother now who is pregnant, and you see, this is why the maternal mortality rate, the number of women that die in child labor, no woman should lose her life while trying to give life. This is why it is so high in Liberia, because these people, they have the priorities completely upside down. The people are completely clueless.
Somebody just wrote here, one Dauda B. Kamara, it sounds like somebody who was from Grand Cape County. He says here that the hospital was originally intended to be constructed in Singi, Grand Cape County. But Nathaniel McGill, who was then Minister of State, influenced the hospital being diverted to Bapulu, which is where he's from. I mean, why else do you think they would build a hospital in Bapulu, of all places where the road is bad? But why build it in a particular area, though? There are certain areas of Bapulu where the roads are not as bad as that particular area. But why somewhere? Why in that place, right?
You see, it's driven again by politics. It's not driven by common sense. It's not driven because you have some, you're trying to help the people. It's driven by politics. Everything is about politics with this government. Everything's about politics. That's why they're doing it. That's my view on why they're doing it. Because otherwise, they could have put it somewhere that is easily accessible. Make sure you have nurses, doctors that can be there, and make sure it will benefit the people. But instead, they are doing things that it's all politics. You know, we're going to run for an election. Let's do this thing over here so we can win this county and win this district. That's what they're doing.
But people already have a hospital in Bapolu, the Chief Jalalong Hospital, and the hospital is in a very bad condition. Like the
equip the hospital, modernize it.
You not equip those the other hospital are there yet. You're not modern last year, but you're coming to build another structure. How long will it take for that same structure to be like the Chief Jalalong Hospital?
Larry,
just a few months.
I saw area photographs of the hospital. Those boys literally went in the jungle, picked out a large parcel of land, and built a modern facility in the bush.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Wow. It's going to go into disrepair in no time, not unless you have a competent person, a competent leader to come in and do something a little bit different. But
Larry, if you are not able to attract the staff, nurses, doctors to work there, because I didn't see a campus, a residential campus where the people would live. What I saw that really excited me, the entire hospital has an integrated, dedicated solar power grid. That is impressive. The entire roof. I love that. But do they have a place there, a residential area for the people to live? Because Larry, if you build a nice place there, I got 24-hour current, the road is good to go there. I'm leaving my room, I'm going to go live up there and work to the hospital.
It was a great idea in terms of building a hospital, but it was a poor execution because, like you're saying, most of the hospitals here in the U.S., they are attached to a university. So there's a chain. The students are being trained. The hospital is right there to practice, and then the students, they have a place to stay. So you see the logic behind it. You're training the students and you're keeping them right there on campus. But if you build an isolated building, the solar panel, fantastic idea. But again, do we have enough people trained to go over there to repair those solar panels, because they do break down at some point in time? So it's like everything this government has done from day one. You bring in a whole lot of incompetent people, you will get results that does not benefit the people. It benefit you, you know? So it's not an accomplishment right there, because you are doing something that is not going to benefit a whole sector of the county.
That is very.
I mean, look, it's time they got to go. This administration has to go.
They have to go. Baga, we're going to go to the phone lines and take some calls there. Read out or call out the numbers, please. We're going to take some calls. Larry Kennedy is on the show this morning with us, looking at the president's annual message delivered yesterday, which the whole country is talking about. The annual message does not impress people. It does not increase WEA's odds. The odds are stacked up against him. His chances of securing a re-election are as slim as they were the day before the speech, and of course the day after the speech, perhaps even worse. Larry, shouldn't the speech excite people or increase his chances or make him look? But that is not the case. I mean, people are pissed off. That's the reaction we're getting. People are not happy. Even citizens are not celebrating the speech. But that's one thing we're not seeing, though. We're not seeing citizens running around the place and cheering him. I mean, the general CDC population, we're not seeing that.
No, how would they Costa when everyone over we are hungry right now? So how will you go celebrate?
You cannot celebrate on empty stomach.
The only people that celebrated were those that got their 2020 yesterday to go at the Capitol building. Apart from that, no. The ordinary citizens are still suffering, Costa. They are still suffering. And we can see them. We down the line here, we know what's all going on, who we talk to, and the pinch that they are feeling.
Larry, let me ask you a question. When you talk about the election, these guys be like, some people say, "Oh man, when the election comes, they will spend a lot of money." You are an economist. I always try to tell people, say, it's not feasible. Even if you spend $20 million on campaign, what are you gonna do? Tell people to line up and give them $20 per person? Is that how you're gonna? It's not feasible, Larry. Is it logistically possible, feasible to use money to buy hundreds of thousands of votes?
You can't blame. You see, when somebody crazy, you cannot blame them for the craziness they're doing, because we already know the person crazy. That whole strategy is not going to work. And this is why the American ambassador, Ambassador McCarthy, said carpe diem, and then he went on. The American government also went on to say that people who are tampering with the election could also be sanctioned. It is on the books and records for the American government that paying people to influence election is a crime. It's an international crime that they don't take too kindly to. So when you start paying people to try to go and influence an election, it is also a crime, an international crime. They don't have enough money to pay all the people then to vote for them. It's not going to happen, because if that were the case, then maybe Taylor wouldn't be senator today. If you could buy your way like that, Taylor wouldn't be president, not president, he wouldn't be senator today. Because it's not going to happen. It's not going to be successful. But let me tell you something that impressed me with this. Let me tell you something that really, really impressed me with the entire speech. So, and everybody, you can check it out. If you scroll all the way to the last page of the speech, what impressed me was when the president said, "I thank you." And the speech ended and he had to leave. So when the speech ended, I was so excited. I said, okay, finally it's over. So the 3 words he said, "I thank you," that impressed me about the speech, because now I knew the speech was over.
The end of the speech was what impressed you when he said,
he said, "I thank you."
I like that. Yeah, that is interesting. All right, let's go to the lines and take some calls there. This is the Costa Show you're watching. You're listening to us on D15 Radio. We're coming to you on a number of platforms, YouTube, Facebook, TuneIn, MyTuner, the website, as well as SoundCloud later on today. Larry Kennedy is here with us, and we're looking at the president's annual message, which has the whole country talking. Baka, let's go to the lines and take some calls there, please.
All right. Okay, 0770-102-102-886-010-383 102-102, the WhatsApp number for those in the diaspora, +231 8624171. Let's take this person. Good morning.
Good morning, Barker. This is BK from the Netherlands. How are you, sir?
I'm okay. Go ahead. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, look, listen to the speech yesterday, and just boring. couldn't spend 3 hours to listen to a boring speech from the president. This guy has disgraced the Liberian Senate, the legislature, by carrying a cheering squad there yesterday. And Representative Yeke Kuba spoke of it yesterday. I mean, we're in a place where a man who is 62 years old is lying to the nation, telling us 1979 he was just 13 years old. This boy lied yesterday. This man lied yesterday to the Liberian public of his age. The same lies he told FIFA and the entire world. So we got to get this guy out. Larry, thank you for your analysis every day. I enjoy this show, and it's my pleasure being part of the Costa Show this morning.
Thank you so much from the Netherlands. Let's take this person from here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Welcome. Your name is joining us from?
I want to come as a location for the very reason that the sadness yes. Oh, Jovia and La Delema, so in the day, so 2 days, we can. But name of that, the president of the nation, if you be lying at that.
Thank you so much, Jowiak and La. That's what it may say in 0770 102 102. The WhatsApp number is +231 888 624171. Place in your calls and tell us what do you make of the president's speech on yesterday? What you took from there? Was it a sin, lies, and lies? So let's take this person. Good morning.
Yeah, morning.
Your name is joining us from?
Yeah, I joined you from joining from my own problem with the president. Our president not mention the money they can use to get high, and then why you pay the whole while you're signing Qatar.
Why he not talk about that one, eh?
Yeah, you talk about it.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, stay taking your calls, keep them coming in. Let's take this person here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, brother. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Your name is joining us from?
My name is Abu Jalo and I'm calling from Conakry, Guinea.
Welcome. How is Guinea, my brother?
Yeah, Guinea is quite a number. Yeah, so on the topic of money, you know, the president been talking in Liberia when they enter nothing true there. So in our scripture, and I'm following you talking like that. When I be liar, so in scripture, yeah, we say now.
Oh, the message I'm gonna get here another 6 more years, oh.
I'm on skin, it ain't go bluff.
Thank you so much. Stay taking. Keep that coming in. We stay within your call here.
People are not impressed. Let me pin the WhatsApp number here. Larry, the people are not impressed at all. Want to hear from as many people as possible so they can give their comments on their impression of the speech. And the sad part for we at Larry is, you know, before he even gave the speech, people didn't expect anything good out of it. I mean, that's something that he first has to deal with. You know, that people don't even trust you. Like I mean, nothing you're gonna say is really gonna matter to them. You know, and that is the first odds that he has to overcome to get people to even want to listen to him. You know, I just put the WhatsApp number here. Let me pin it so people can be able to use it to call, especially people from the diaspora. Braga, let's take more calls. More calls.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Baka. Good morning to you, Baka. Good morning to our little Henry P. Costa in the studio.
Welcome.
Yeah, my name is Basso Boy. My name is Basso Boy, and I'm calling you from Nigeria. Yeah, Baka. You know, say we been behind the man to give it. Give it. The man say, let me just go out and just go get that speech now. Although say, let me the one ready, but I will just give it anyway. I see it, I will just talk it. But the whole thing that they lying now, they make just say, oh, you know, so they make them lying. Nothing true come from that member. So everything I just come from that member, it just say, let me just go there and talk. Say they put it just behind me, let me go talk, let me talk, I never talk, let me just go and talk. Now what they made it, just go out there to talk. So Baga, let me enjoy my day, man. Have a wonderful day and leader.
Thank you so much, Basso Boy. Let's take the other person here on the line. Okay, here's the person. Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Bogart. How are you?
I'm okay.
So, Gibson, I call from Paris.
Oh, Frank Gibson, welcome.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, and wish you the same.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good morning to your studio guests and Costa Show. Seriously, I'm a little bit disappointed. There are lots of issues that the president discussed in his speech. I think they are almost important to explain or to talk about. One would be the Liberian Liberia will now be getting a seat on the Security Council.
Frank Gibson.
That's a very important.
Frank Gibson.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us that you are the one now telling us what to discuss on the show?
No, not at all. Not at all. We are trying to discuss the president's speech. That's why I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm not giving you. I'm not giving you get your own list of what you discussing on your show.
Okay, then go ahead.
But now since we are discussing the president's speech, that's why I'm saying this.
1 minute.
And the second aspect of all this is that the hospital in Buffalo, thank God, Joseph Walker wants to be road. Now he will not be concentrating on hospital now. He will just be concentrating on how to connect roads to the hospital.
Okay, thank
and
you.
that will make him.
Hello. I'm happy that you have acknowledged that George Weah will not be the next president. Joseph Walker will be the president that will build a road to the hospital. Thank you for acknowledging that, and have a good day. Thank you.
Even he had to laugh. You caught him on that one. You got to nice catch. He thought you weren't paying attention, Blake. I'm very smart.
You guys are so the guy. I want you to Lola in the morning, man. Let Lola call and tell
you are calling me. Lola, call back. Let's take some more calls. 0770. Yeah, but Larry does it now. He said that Joseph Walker Bay Roro. So he have already acknowledged that we will not be president again. So Joseph Walker will be the role from here to Bapolu.
Yeah, at least when Boy can come in now, he won't have to worry about having to build.
The man ran away.
Yes, I had to laugh. Yes,
good morning.
Laugh for that one.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Kuna Adams. I'm calling from New Jersey. I don't know what we're doing with our men in our country, to tell you the truth. So the speech that the man gave, it just turned the whole country upside down. It's just like almost like a campaign something. He running campaign against himself. So nobody know what our man doing over there. Because nobody can understand anything over there. So I don't think people need to talk too much. The time is too short. We just need to get prepared and do what we're supposed to do. Let the man go.
All right.
Like somebody said from Conakry, let the man go and go flex. In my Liberian English.
There you go, enjoy it. You right, my sister? Let him
go.
Thank you. Larry, I'm got 8 months from now to October. The turnover.
Yeah. The man came in and he had a fantastic time flying private jets.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Your name is joining us from?
Well, I'm Ada Kennedy from Iowa, Muscatine. This is a good time joining you today, to talk about George Weah has failed the Liberian people and his gross disrespect for the Liberians are the one that really get being mad at him all over the time that he has led our country. A kind of man who call himself, a leader who Liberians took the country and gave him at heart. He went and started killing Liberians and throwing that ballet guy was quite a disrespect to everybody. Look at those families who he killed. And then can we sit there and see people talking for him? Those who talk for him want him to go back. He's very disrespectful. So we need that guy out and we need to call on every sedition who behind him. To get away from him and see that with that country, we restore our country dignity. It's not time for play. Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. We're still taking your calls. Let's take some from back home here. Good morning.
Good morning, Baka. Good morning to the Honorable Antonio Costa.
Yeah, your name, where you calling from?
Good morning. Yeah, this is Cham Morba from FDA.
Okay. Go ahead.
You know, there are some things that were very expected the president to elaborate on yesterday, but he was not able to touch. That the one issue that shut the whole country, we all were sitting listening, and we were not able to highlight that, which threatened the peace of this country also. You want to tell me that the gun I was drawing this country was drawing the country by the president of Nigeria? The military against us during the election? We want to know.
The message just a minister stay investigating the gun, oh, my brother.
The justice minister investigating the gun?
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. Let's take this person here. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Musu. I just want to say thanks to Larry for coming on and to you guys for the good work you're doing. I just want to say that, you know, for the 7 building you put on, we can use the building for our doctors, nurses, and teachers. Because our money, all the things the West put in us, should not carry it to Jamaica, our property, that our money. So I just want to say that last speech, it was nothing. So let him try and leave us alone. Let his wife go to Jamaica and consider that for the 7 hospitals, we need it for the doctors and nurses and teachers to live in it. That's the government money. So let the man leave us alone. Let him go. Let him leave us alone.
All right.
Thank you. I'm calling from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Thank you. Let's come back home. Take this one. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yep. Your name, where you calling from?
Yeah, we'll take two.
Yeah, my name is Barahati Abdullah Sawa.
So Larry,
And I'm calling from Central Town.
Go ahead, Alaji.
The president sent a message yesterday was involved with secession. President informed the world and Liberia realized that he is not aware of the salary being reduced. So as such, he is mandating the legislators to assist in this year's fiscal year budget in order to increase those salaries that were being reduced or cut off by Senate. I see that as a deception, and as such, the selection will pay no listening ear to it, and as such, will be removed. Last day to conclusion, the president talked about reducing tariff on rice. And now, before coming to power, he said he reduced the rate from $13 to $11. But now, the rate is being sold at $17, $18 respectively. So, Mr. We have been all constantly from the city of October. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alaji, for calling in. We take 2 more calls, then we'll cross over to the team so we can wrap it up on today's edition of the Costa Morning Show. Let's take this person. Yusuf, good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Baka. Good morning, Leader Henry Pedro Costa. Yesterday, the sooner made by George Fuya, for some of us who will not take it serious, we consider that sooner to be made for people from under the Sakumo tree. But my attention was drawn to the issues of the census. The president was clear yesterday in making a statement that the census went well, but we are sitting and watching very critically. Any attempt for the census to release any official result on people that have been counted in the country, we will resist that result. Because their only mission was for the president to make a statement yesterday that the census went well, and at the end of the day, they must release result. So anything that comes out of that error will resist that result to the core. Thank you.
All right, we'll take our last caller from
the last caller.
Yeah, the last caller here on this line. Good morning.
Good morning, Broadcast. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Henry. Broadcast, this is Sanction.
Welcome.
I'm calling reference to George Weah's speech. I think my best part was the drinking water part. When he had to drink water. But it's a sad thing. I sat at my office desk. I was very embarrassed to see a president of a country that can't even read up to an 8th grade level. It's an embarrassing thing. And somebody said that when people ask them, what country are you from? sometimes it's embarrassing to say Liberia because if I can remember the things my father used to tell me about how good Liberia used to be. For a young man, they say that they don't want an old man in office, but a young man is not any better. They say that they don't want an educated person in the office, but a village boy is no better. So I have no clue where Liberia is going right now. It's just a sad thing, and everybody keep praying. But the more you pray, it seems like the more Liberia is going down. It's just discouraging. It makes some of us discouraged to even come home. And I pray that one day I will return to Liberia, but for now I am so discouraged.
Okay.
Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, we don't blame you. There are lots of people who are playing wait and see. They want to do something in Liberia, but they put it on pause. They're waiting until Mr. Weah and his gang leave power. Larry, you've heard from the people. We are about to close up. Are you surprised that the people share our sentiments that, you know, they're way past Weah? The people are looking past George Weah. How? I mean, he's like a lame dog. When they look at him now, is what Americans say, a lame dog. A president going into election, in the election year, his fate has been decided, but he doesn't seem to be aware of that, Larry. Why do you think he is this cocky?
This was sort of the final nail in the coffin, on the coffin to end this administration. This was the final nail, this speech right here. So he's totally a lame duck. And the brother who called, I think maybe 1 or 2 calls before, talked an important thing about the whole census. It was a complete violation for 4 years of not running the census, because we know it's in Article 39 of the Constitution. So this was not a serious government, because they weren't upholding the law of the land, the Constitution. They weren't upholding it. So the brother make a good point in terms of the census, you know. So, and I see why people are also holding back in terms of doing some investments in there, because you, Brother Costa, you had the president cousin on the show recently, and he was talking about why this man shouldn't be reelected because of what they did to him when he came to the country to bring investors. You remember that whole saga, you know? So this is, in fact, this is the finality. This is the final thing to let the people know that it's time for this administration to go. They came in stealing with the 16 billion. They laundered the money with a 25 million mop-up, which I don't believe the Americans will ever let that go. They shouldn't forget. The Americans not going to let that go. For you to take money from the Federal Reserve Bank and launder it to mop up ill-gotten wealth, the Americans not going to let that go. This is the reason why the Southern District of New York is trying to grab the former finance minister from Mozambique. He's been in prison since 2018 in South Africa. They're going to extradite him and bring him to the U.S. and put him on trial because of using the U.S. banking system to launder money. The Americans not going to let that go. So this, in essence, they had nothing to say. 3 hours of absolutely nothing. You tried to blame the previous administration. That didn't work. The people saw right through it, you know. So, you know, he could have just gone to South Beach and gave this State of the Nation address, because you were punishing people. This was like, you know, this was some sort of a capital punishment, letting people sit there for 3 hours and listen to you lie, especially when you know now that people will come out, analyze it, and point out the lies one by one by one. It was painful, man. I feel bad.
Very painful. Very, very painful. Larry, thank you very, very much. Folks, want to say thank you very much. This is how we bring today's edition of the show to an end. Waka, you want to say something before we close up?
Well, thank God, like we said, is his final speech, and we'll not get no boring speech like that again from now up until. So we just thank God for it. And what he did yesterday, he did it for he and the sedition. So there's nothing more, nothing less. We just need for us to kick him out at the ballot box come October.
We'll give him a red card. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.